And okay.
Yep.
We know about the Paro's dreams, and the butler reminded, so he needed a interpretation for the dreams. And the baker, no, sorry, the butler reminded him that there was a fellow in the dungeon who interpreted dreams. So
Yep.
Paro said, "Okay, bring him out." Okay, and and Paro told him the dreams. And let's go to the part on after he interpreted the dreams. Where are we? Yeah. Okay. If you have the article,
Yep.
it's on page 228, verse
Okay.
39, or chapter 41, verse 39.
Okay.
Okay. What'd you say? Chapter 41, verse, the long chapters, along verse 39. Okay. Where are we? Here we are. And it says like this: Vayomer Paro al Yosef, and Paro said to Yosef, since through God you were able to interpret my two dreams, there's nobody as smart as you are. And he says, you will be over my household. You will be like the officer over my household. And through your word, my nation will be sustained. But when it comes to the throne, really, I'm above you. But you're the viceroy, you're the assistant. So then he says, Vayomer Paro Yosef. And Paro said to Yosef, you are in control of the entire land of Israel. Now look what Paro does. This is Paro removes his ring from his hand and he gives it over to Yosef, giving him, that must have been a special ring, maybe a signet ring of some sort, which shows that he's second in command. Where else do you find it? Some other place we find that a king gives over a ring to somebody else? Now this you should know. Moshe, Lonnie, you know, a very famous story. The king gives over a ring to somebody else. Is do what you want.
Obviously, Moshe.
No. Hashem, Moshe, nobody ever gave Moshe a ring.
Huh.
It's not recorded in the Torah. Maybe you got it. It's not in the Torah though. It's in the Tanakh. Oh, you know. What about think of the Purim story? What happened during the Purim story?
Oh.
Haman goes to Achashverosh. Yeah. He wanted to exterminate all the Jews. What does Achashverosh do? He took off his ring, and gave it to Haman and said, "Do what you want." Yeah. So you see, that was a custom in those days. When a king wants to give the authority to somebody else to do whatever they have to do, he would remove his signet. It must have been a signet ring of some sort, and he gave him the ring. So, so the same thing over here. Since Yosef was so really in terms of interpreting dreams, he was the only one who gave a good interpretation to Paro. So in recognition of that, Paro gives him a ring. Okay. Then he said, and he dressed them in linen garments. It must have been very expensive linen garments.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, and you even find out, well, this was by Mordechai. Later on, when finally Achashverosh realized what Haman wanted to do, and he realized it was Esther's nation, he took everything away from Haman. He gave Mordechai his ring, and Mordechai was paraded throughout the kingdom of Shushan, and he wore majestic clothing. Okay. Now, according to some of our commentators, what was the purpose of giving him this very expensive robe, whatever it was, this garment that he wore? Oh, so it seems like one of the commentators said, in fact, it's brought down it's called Me'am Lo'ev. He said that it seems like they believed in those days that it's a very expensive linen garment was able to ward off any evil eye. Remember, people, you have to realize here, at least in Egypt, who was Yosef? He came out from prison, and now he's getting the highest position available in Egypt. I'm sure the wise men, or whatever they were, magicians, were very jealous of Yosef. How dare he? How could he do this? Here we're serving the kingdom for X amount of years. He comes out from a dungeon. He might have been a slave boy. At least they thought at that time that he was sold as a slave, and now he holds such a high position. So it seemed like Paro gave him the special garment, and they believed that this particular garment would ward off any bad malignant forces, or because, like I said, the wizards and magicians might try to do Yosef harm. They had witchcrafts and magic, whatever they had in those days. So the robe would protect him. Now, also, some of the commentators say that's why the Kohen Gadol had very special garments. Remember? Why did they have to have such special garments? Again, people are envious. And Ayin Hara, we believe sometimes many people to this day believe in Ayin Hara, the evil eye, that people are jealous and they'll have an effect on somebody. So in order that nobody should be so jealous and be envious of, let's say, a Kohen Gadol, the same thing. He wore very special garments that would ward off any evil influence, anything that people were thinking to do harm to him. So it seems like that was a basic belief in those days. To this day, people live in the Ayin Hara, some people anyway. Okay, so this particular majestic garment would ward off any evil spell that the magicians and the wizards of those days would want to do against Yosef. This was to protect him. Okay, right now. All right now. Oh, let's go further. So again, we're on verse 42. But Yosef Paro es tabato. How do we explain that? Paro removed his ring from his hand. But Yosef gave it, put it on the hand of Yosef. By Albesh a big dishesh, he dressed him in linen garments as well as majestic garments. By Yosef has a hop al savro. Oh, and another thing, he put a golden chain around his neck. Well, that the Kohen Gadol did not wear. But anyway, this was a very important garment, I suppose, in the time of the time of Egypt at that time. Now, since Paro wants to go ahead and make him known throughout the kingdom. Did you know who Yosef is? And he put him on a chariot. And it says Mishnah, it was the chariot that would be right behind Paro's chariot. So like a second, he translates it right. Second royal chariot. In other words, the first chariot would be Paro be riding on that chariot, and the second chariot, Yosef would be riding in it. So everybody would know what's going on. I suppose they announced it. And it said, "Vayikru all the phone of Avrech," and they called out, Avrech. This fellow, bow down to him. He is now second in control. So they placed him over the land of Egypt. Okay. Now, so talking about chariots is interesting more about these things. Let me give you practically you tell me. Although he translates it that Mikheves HaMishnah means the second chariot, means the chariot that was right behind Paro's, like the chariot that the person who was in second command would be riding on. However, we're going to soon see that from the Jerusalem Talmud, they have a different interpretation. Just like this, Gemara. Borishona. Originally, Lo hayu el shtayim. There were two horses who would pull the chariot. And they quote this verse. And he had him riding a chariot, not the second chariot, but they learned that Mishnah about the Sheni. There were two horses pulling it. That's the way it's learned in the Gemara. A little different interpretation. The chariot that Yosef rode in was pulled by two horses. Okay. Omad Paro, Yosef Shlos. Later on in history, there was a different Paro. Later on in Egyptian history, a different Paro arose, and it says over there when the Bnei Israel departed from Egypt, the Egyptians were riding on chariots, and it says B'sholishim al kulo, that it was that in the time of Paro and Yosef's days, the chariot had two horses, and the chariot that now the Egyptians were using in the time of the departure from Egypt, it says V'sholishim al kulo shalosh. There were three horses pulling it. Others explain V'sholishim really means they were just the head people, the charioteers, that's what you call them, or riding the chariot. But anyway, going to this Gemara, first, in the time of Paro and Yosef's days, there were two horses pulling the chariot. Shalishim al Kolo, when the chariots, later on in history, maybe the chariots became bigger, there were three horses who were pulling on. Shalashim, instead of meaning officers, a simple translation, saying Shalosh. Three horses were pulling the chariot. Then it says, now there's two different texts over here. The Vilna Gaon says it should say the following: Omat Shlomo v'Yosar Rabah. When Shlomo became a king, it became now four horses. It doesn't really bring down a verse for that, so maybe that was a tradition. And the same, then it goes on to say, Omda Malchus Rasha, later on, when the Romans took over, and they always had chariots and charioteers in those days. There was how many horses the chariot was drawn by how many horses? 5 horses. So we have a history of chariots pulled by horses from two horses in the time of the Paro with Joseph to 5 horses in the time of the Romans. Yeah, I was thinking of that. I think in Ben-Hur, I don't remember how many horses pulled the chariot in his day, but I remember there were several horses, if I remember.
Yep.
The chariot races they had, and that you ever saw the Ben-Hur. Yep. I don't know if it was 5, but according to the Gemara, it was 5. So we see, as history unfolded, more horses were needed to pull chariots, and maybe it went faster that way, I suppose. Okay. My history on chariots. That's all I know about it. Yeah, okay. Okay. Further, where are we now? We're back to. Oh yeah. Okay, this guy again. The verse is 43 again. So, like we said, either we can interpret it that Paro made Yosef ride on the second chariot, in the word like Sheni, or a chariot drawn by 2 horses. I showed over that he had. By Yikru the phone of Avrech. Now again, what does that mean? And they called in front of maybe make a proclamation. And the second chariot is Yosef, who's now the viceroy. Or if you look at Avrech, some might make it up in 2 words. Av, not the father, could mean like a leader. Here's a leader, Rach, although he's young in years. Could mean that. Or Avrech could mean prostrate yourself before him, bow before him because he holds an important position. By doing so, Paro was showing the people that Joseph is now is in control over the land of Egypt. Okay. Yoma Paro Yosef and Pharaoh. Paro said to Yosef, although you have this high position, you have to remember that I'm above you. I am Paro. Ubibaladecha, besides you, lo yurim ish es yodovis or globe before Eretz Mitzrayim. Nobody could raise his hand or his foot in the land of Egypt. You're in control, but I am Paro. Okay, then it says, Okay. Now Yosef changes his name, changes Yosef's name. He doesn't call him Yosef, but he's called Sofnas Paner. And Sofnas means, we have it in Haggadah, the Safun. There's part of that in the Seder. It's not Safun, means hidden. Remember, it's after you eat, it's Safun. It's when you find the hidden matzah. Yeah, so Safnas means hidden things, and this man Yosef was able to reveal. Notice those dreams that I had, only Yosef was able to interpret it. Okay. Very interesting. That who does he marry? Who does Paro suggest as a mate for Yosef? Osnath, who happens to be Potiphar's daughter. Remember Yosef in the Parshat before, Potiphar's wife wanted to entice Yosef to have relations with her, and he didn't. She did see through her, again, whatever magic that she had, that he's going to become part of her family. And she thought it was her, but it was really for his daughter. Okay. And Yosef went about on the land of Egypt. That is the whole thing. Although the Torah doesn't go into details, but it seems like it just, we always see our commentaries to fill us in what's happening. It wasn't just going around the city and proclaiming Yosef as the viceroy. But a lot of people were going very happy for it, especially the ladies. Remember, it's a single guy and available, so a lot of the girls were interested in. Look what it says over here. Okay, let's see, where is it? Here it is. I'm reading from it's called Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer, written by Eliezer Hurkines, and it says the following: while Yosef was riding on the chariot, and he was passing throughout all the boundaries of Egypt, and the Egyptian girls, they were standing on the side, on top of high places, on a wall, and they're throwing him golden rings and all sorts of jewelry. Oh yeah, so it says. So he was collecting all this type of jewelry. He couldn't get, like it really wasn't bother him at all, and wasn't affected by it. And later on, it seems like, according to the commentators over here, he took all that jewelry that he had and gave it into the Egyptian treasury. But one particular piece of jewelry he saw, and it had it had, I think it had the name of a Shema Yisrael, something that he knew what it was. So he knew there must be somebody special over there that knows Hebrew. And by the way, that was Potiphar Pharaoh's, or Potiphar and his wife's daughter. Really, this was a daughter of Dinah. Remember, Dinah had by Shechem, and somehow she got to Egypt, and he adopted her. But she knew something, she came from a family of Yaakov, and it was, and that therefore makes a lot of sense. What happens over here? Maybe Paro knew that. That's why Paro suggested that Potiphar's daughter to marry Yosef.
She's related to Dinah?
Yeah, Dinah's daughter. She's the daughter of from the relationship she had with Shechem. When Shechem, had relations with her, he raped her. He impregnated her, and that particular daughter, Dinah's daughter, happened to find herself in Egypt. Somehow she got there. I don't know how. Dinah's daughter, and she was in Potiphar's house. Maybe she was some sort of a maidservant. And after this whole incident, Paro suggested that Yosef should marry her. But so you're going back to last week's Parsha. Potiphar's wife knew something, but she thought it was her. that she was supposed to have relations with him and have children from him. But she saw something, but not the complete story. It so happened that it would be her adopted daughter. So it's interesting how history unfolds. Here you have, according to anyone, this Chazal, according to our sages, Dinah was impregnated by Shechem in this incident of the city of Shechem. Somehow, I don't know how, she got down to Egypt. She was acquired by Potiphar and his wife. And though it worked out, Yosef married her. So he's marrying his aunt's daughter, am I right? Dinah was his, Yosef was, because Dinah was, Dinah was a cousin, first cousin at that time, his first cousin. Dinah was the daughter of Leah. Yosef was a son of Rachel. And Rachel was sister, so he must have been like a first cousin, right? All right, first cousin?
Potiphar's daughter is adopted daughter is Dinah's daughter.
Dinah's daughter. And Dinah and Yosef, there must have been halfway. Dinah and Yosef were a half sister and half brother, right? She was his sister that had the same father but different mother. Because Dinah came from Leah and Yosef
Dinah came from
right?
Dinah came from Leah.
And Dinah came from Leah and
Yosef came from Rachel.
So there was the cousins then. I don't know. So even this, you're allowed to marry your cousin. You don't do that today, but you have the right. You can't. So anyway, so he lines up with Dinah's daughter.
Yeah.
But sometimes they say it's not good. Halachically, you could get married. Okay, so that's what happens in this particular case. Okay, he's marrying a cousin, and then I was very happy about that. I don't know. Okay, so that's happened over here. Okay. Where are we now? Oh, now okay. Hey, now that we're on page 228, if you have the scroll, verse 46, and it says, "V'Yosef ben shloshim shana," and Yosef was 30 years old. Okay, so how many years has Yosef been away from his family? How old was Yosef when he was sold? Who remembers? It's last week's Parshat.
Yeah, it's 13 years.
Yeah, he was good. He was 17 when he was
when he left,
old, and now he's 30 years old.
So 13.
13 years, right? And he's going to have to wait. And let's see, later on that's next week's Parsha. He's going to have to wait 7 years, and they had years of plenty. We had no problem, and 2 years after that. So that's 9 years. So he was 39, right? It was 39 years when he finally saw his father Yaakov again, right? A lot of years. Okay. So Yosef was 30 years old, 46 again. Yosef ben shloshim shana. Yosef was 30 years. B'yamdo lifnei Paro melech Mitzrayim, when he stood before Paro, the king of Egypt. Yosef lifnei Paro. Again, Yosef left Paro, and he oversaw things throughout the land of Egypt. Okay. Batas ha'oretz, and the earth produced during the 7 years an abundance amount of food. And Yosef did a very smart thing. He realized that you have more food than the people need. So he quotes called Ochel Sheva Shnim Sheobi Eretz Mitzrayim, and he added all the food throughout that 7 years, all the surplus food that was in the land of Egypt. Ochel Barim, and he stored the food throughout the cities. Ochel Sdei Ha'ir, says the Sam B'Socha, food from the fields that was from the outside, was near the city. It would go ahead and placed in the storage houses. Okay. And the next verse says, Vayitzbor Yosef bor kechol yom abimod. He was able to gather food, as there's always an expression in the Torah, like the sand of the sea, a extreme amount of food. Ati Chadalis spoke him. There's no number. You couldn't find. You could not really give a number to it. How much food he had? He had really countless amount of food. Okay. Ul Yosef Yulod Shnei Bonim B'Terem Tavo Shnas Harav. Very important point over here. It says to Yosef was born 2 sons. I was both what's the name? Osnas was her name, as you're going to say. Osnas begot 2 sons for Yosef, and B'Terem Tavo Shnas Harav. This is before the hungry years came. But we learn an interesting thing from over here. Why does the Torah have to tell me that he had his 2 sons before the hungry years came? So the Gemara brings down and says that that during the hunger years, and somebody has children, they should not engage in sexual relations with their wife to have any more children, because when everyone is suffering, they shouldn't try to have more children at that particular time. Those Osnas begot to him these children. As Potiphar Kohen, who was the he's called Potiphar, same thing. The Kohen owned, and he was the priest of the god of Hon, whatever that was. Okay. Vayikra Yosef Hashem Abchor Menashe, and Yosef called the name of his Bechor, his firstborn, Menashe. Now, what does Menashe mean? And the Torah tells us why was he called Menashe? Ki Nashani Elohim is called because God made me forget all my troubles. He is called basically at my father's house. Look, he's all alone for so many years. He didn't know when he'll see his family. Yeah. But then the other problem is, now that he's the viceroy, why didn't he go ahead and contact his father? That's a major problem. What do you think? He could have sent somebody, a messenger there. Okay, maybe he can leave himself. Send a messenger home, say, Dad, I'm here in Egypt. And, maybe send some information. But how he got there? What did he do? Or why didn't he? On the other hand, the other problem is, if he's such a well-known man, again, and most probably he was well-known throughout Egypt and maybe into the land of Canaan, the land of Canaan. So why didn't they know that Joseph was still alive? No, why did
his name wasn't Yosef?
That was also a part of the Hashgacha God. The being. He was not called Yosef.
Right.
Pharaoh changed his name. He was not known by the people as Yosef, so nobody ever knew it. And he was known as Safnat Paneach, an Egyptian name. So they had no idea. They even Yaakov or his brothers heard that Safnat Paneach. They say, "Oh, that must be our brother." They didn't know that. So yeah, they didn't know. So therefore, the name Yosef was not used. That's why also he knew them, because later on we'll see when the brothers came down, they haven't seen each other in how many years did we say? In 13 years, right? He was a young man, 17. Maybe didn't have a full beard, whatever. They didn't recognize him. He recognized them.
He was wearing Egyptian clothing.
Yeah, and he was wearing Egyptian clothing. But also, how did Yosef know when his brothers came? Yosef was a smart guy. He knew that since the hunger will not only be in Canaan, not be in Egypt, but also be in Canaan. As well, somebody's got to come down for food. It's the only place that they could get food. So he realized it's gonna happen one of these days. My brothers are going to come. They're gonna say their names. I wouldn't know who they are. They're not gonna know me because I'm talking about Paneach. They don't know me. I'm most probably dressed in Egyptian garments. They were dressed in their type of garments, whatever they lost. They were shepherd people. That's why he knew them, and they did not know him. They didn't know that. They did not know that was Yosef. That's why in next week's Parsha, when he reveals himself, he doesn't say, "I need Safnas Paner." He says, "I need Yosef." And they go, "Oh, I'm Yosef." Oh, that's who you are, And so that's why they didn't even think that that's their brother. First
But
of all,
what-
they haven't
what-
seen each other. He had a different name.
But
They had
what
no
is the
idea.
reason?
That's good.
What is the reason that Yosef wasn't able to reach out to Yaakov? That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. He could have, I suppose. But someone is saying, and this is what it says, but I still don't grasp it. I don't like the answer. Is that all the brothers had made an oath that they will never reveal to their father that they sold Yosef, and so I think Yosef did not want to send any message to say, "Hey, I'm Yosef," because he knew about that. He made
I
an
see.
oath, and he realized it has to come through God's intervention that they should find out who he is.
I see.
Because even Yaakov, it's somehow I feel sorry for Yaakov because I was saying Yitzchak knew.
Yeah.
Yitzchak knew that Yosef was still alive, and yet he also didn't want to tell him. I don't know why they had the poor Yaakov had to suffer like this. I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. I think he really suffered for no reason. He could have been told at least, yes, you know your son is alive. He's in Egypt. At least that much they should have been told. So I don't know. I think that was. I don't know why he suffered enough. Look, he went through a lot of sorrows, right?
Yeah.
His brother, and then he had to flee for his life. He stayed in love him, tricked him. Then he comes home, and then he thought he could settle down and finally have a little peace and quiet. And his son is kidnapped. It's really he had a very hard life.
I
You
saw
read- what?
something. I read
Yeah,
something.
what did you say?
When Paro met Yaakov, he said, "How many are the days of the years of your life? How many good days did you have in your life?" Because he realized how Yaakov must have suffered.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question. Why
No,
couldn't he be
but
told?
yes, but Paro realized that Yaakov must have suffered by not seeing his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
How many
Yeah.
are the days? He didn't say how old are. How many?
Yep.
How many? He didn't say how old you are. Yeah.
How
Okay.
many good
That's
days
it.
did you have in your life?
And he
It's a
said,
good question.
Very few.
Maybe they had to,
He
Hashem
did.
had to reveal who Yosef.
But why did he have to suffer that much? He was a very good person. He's one of our patriarchs. I mean, we have no concept of the greatness of Yaakov. I don't have an answer for it. At least I don't have a satisfying answer. Why did he? It could have been revealed to him. Your son is in Egypt. Of course, how he got. Oh, that's another thing. And here I don't think we have a clear answer on it either. After the whole thing, Yaakov goes on to Egypt. Did Yaakov ever find out that it was the brothers who sold Yosef? I don't think I can't find any commentary on that. I don't know. Was he ever revealed to Yaakov?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Reading the Torah seems like it was never revealed, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Didn't he ever question it?
Maybe he did, but I don't know what they answered. And Yosef also didn't want to say because he knew there was a Hashuvua, there was an oath that they took not to reveal it to anyone. So he didn't want. That's why he could have told his father sooner, sent the messenger, but he didn't. Because it was an oath, he didn't want to get involved in an oath. It's not a satisfying answer, but that's the only thing that I found on it.
Yeah. No, very
Ronnie, you
interesting.
have a homework assignment. You got to find out why wasn't Yaakov revealed? Why wasn't Yaakov told something? I don't know. I can't.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, but I'll give you a week.
Good. Good
All
question.
right.
Good. Rabbi,
Okay.
thank you very much for doing
Okay,
this.
have a good last day of Hanukkah. Have a wonderful Hanukkah and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And we'll have although I know you don't join us, but on Tuesday I have my class. Next Thursday I won't be giving a class.
Yeah, I know.
Take a little vacation there. Okay.
Good for you. Well deserved.
Okay. Thank you. Have a wonderful
Thank
Hanukkah.
Shabbat shalom,
Whatever's left
everybody.
over.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you,
And
Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.